Visceral belly fat is the fat you can't see in the mirror, but it's the most dangerous. It wraps around your internal organs, increasing the risk of disease, high blood pressure, and wrecking your metabolism. But the good news is, with the right diet and exercise plan, you can actually get rid of visceral belly fat the fastest, because when you attack it the right way, it's the first thing your body lets go of. I'm gonna show you how to measure your own visceral fat and give you the exact plan to lose 30+% of your visceral fat in the next 30 days. In fact, this is the same plan I used with Victor and Kathleen to help them both drop their visceral belly fat. But before we dive in, what is visceral belly fat and how is it different than regular fat? There are two kinds of body fat. Subcutaneous, this is the belly fat that you can pinch, and visceral fat is inside of your stomach, deep in your organs. Because visceral fat is what we call metabolically active, it responds pretty quickly when we change our exercise and diet routine. I'm gonna show you an at-home 10-second test you can do to start to learn where your visceral belly fat is and how you can measure if it's going down or not. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, after you use the restroom and before you eat or drink anything, I want you to measure your waist right below your belly button. Make sure the measuring tape is snug but not super tight. Once you get that number, divide that number by your height. And here, I want you to use the same measurement. So if you're measuring in inches around your waist, I want you to measure in inches with your height. Or if you're measuring in centimeters with your waist, measure with centimeters with your height. So for me, I am 6'4", which is roughly 76 inches, and my waist is 28 inches. If I take 28 divided by 76, that gets me 0.37. This waist to height ratio is what you should be looking for in testing for your visceral belly fat. And you want your waist to height ratio to be 0.5 or lower. And if I were you, I would measure your waist 1 to 3 times per week. And again, I would do it right when you wake up, after you use the restroom, before you eat or drink anything, to get the most accurate measurement. And if right now, let's say you're 5'10", that's 70 inches, and your waist is a 34, that would give you a 0.49 waist to height ratio. So whatever yours is, you want your waist measurement to go down and your waist to height measurement ratio to go down to the 0.5 or below. This means you're putting yourself in a healthy range for the amount of visceral fat that you have that won't negatively impact risk of disease, diabetes, or just low energy and sluggish feeling and bloat. Now that you know how to test your visceral fat and where your ratio should be, let's talk about the biggest changes you should be making with your diet to decrease your visceral fat the fastest. Rule number 1, attack added sugar first. You've probably heard sugar makes you fat, but the truth is, not all sugar is the same. And what really matters is your overall calorie intake, which we'll touch on in a second, and the type of sugar that you are eating. Added sugar, especially fructose, can be harmful for your visceral fat. Let me explain why. When you eat glucose, which is a different form of sugar that comes in the form of rice, oats, potatoes, your muscles and other tissues will use that glucose for energy. But with fructose and added sugars, your body doesn't really use it the same way. And pretty much all of it goes straight to your liver. And when your liver is overloaded with glucose, it does two things. Number 1, it turns that sugar into fat, and a lot of that fat ends up stored around your organs with your visceral fat. And that's why added sugar can be such a culprit. It's not just about the calorie intake when it comes to your waistline, because the visceral fat makes your belly push out from the inside, and it's also linked to more inflammation, which causes more bloating, higher blood pressure, and insulin resistance. Think of your liver like a suitcase. A little bit of sugar, no problem. It packs away neatly and you're fine. But when you keep dumping sodas, pastries, 400 calorie high chai latte coffees or whatever you guys drink, the suitcase bursts open and the extra gets shoved around your organs. Now, here's the twist. This doesn't mean you need to stop eating added sugar or stop eating all sugar, especially like fruit, because the sugar in fruit also comes with fiber. It comes with other nutrients. It comes with a higher water intake that can slow down the absorption, and your body breaks it down a little bit different. But this does mean if you want to shrink the amount of visceral fat you have, one of the fastest levers you can pull is cutting back or cutting out added sugars in your diet. And this means making some easy swaps, like your sweet latte for an Americano and protein coffee, or the full sugar juices or sweet teas with no sugar or diet tea. Sugary sauces and dressings with low calorie or 0 calorie sauces and dressings. Regular soda for diet soda or sparkling water, or the desserts you're having at night swapped out for Greek yogurt and fruit. Doing this combined with eating in a calorie deficit will be the fastest way you can shrink and reduce your visceral belly fat. And by the way, if you need to know how many calories you should be eating per day, there will be a free calorie calculator in the description of this video below. Now, rule number 2 for your diet change will also massively decrease the amount of visceral belly fat you store. Rule number 2, protein first meals. Here's a trick that most people miss. If you start your meals with protein, you can almost change the way your body stores and uses fat, especially visceral fat. And no, it's not just about building muscle. Let me break this down. When you eat carbs first, your blood sugar and insulin spikes and you're more likely to overeat. But protein does 2 things that carbs or fats don't. Number 1, it blunts and reduces those blood sugar and insulin spikes. And number 2, it keeps you full for hours, unlike what carbohydrates will do. So when you consistently eat protein first in your meals, you naturally eat fewer calories without even realizing it. And you don't have as high of an insulin spike. So the calorie control and insulin spike combined with the muscle boosting benefits that protein gives to you means your body can tap into fat stores instead of using muscle for energy. Now, this doesn't mean you have to have a giant steak at every meal, but just lead the meal with protein. Maybe in the morning for breakfast, it's a Greek yogurt or a protein shake. Maybe at lunch, it's chicken or tofu or edamame. And then maybe at dinner, it's some sort of lean ground beef or fish or chicken breast, or my favorite, chicken thighs. And by the way, anybody who says chicken breast are better than chicken thighs, you're a psychopath. But once protein is on your plate, you can then add your carbs, but make sure you start the meal with protein. And when you combine eating in a calorie deficit, cutting out added sugar, and having protein first in your meals, your body literally has no choice but to remove your visceral belly fat. But there's one more rule for your diet you should follow that I don't hear a lot of people talking about when it comes to getting rid of that visceral, dangerous fat as quickly as possible. Rule number 3, saturated versus unsaturated fat. If you swapped out one thing with your cooking this week, just one thing, you would make it easier for your body to let go of the internal visceral belly fat. That's if you switched from cooking with butter to olive oil. Saturated versus unsaturated fat. And no, this isn't gonna be a never eat butter again lecture, just stick with me. Saturated fats, think butter or high fat dairy or higher fat meats, tend to raise your LDL cholesterol, the artery clogging particles, while unsaturated fats like olive oil, avocado oil, nuts, seeds, fish generally push LDL down, and this can be linked to fewer heart problems and the easier release of visceral belly fat. And randomized trials have shown This isn't just about cholesterol, but excess saturated fats drive more liver and visceral fat than equal calories from polyunsaturated fats. And this is why sometimes not all calories are created equal. So if you're really trying to get rid of that visceral belly fat, a general guideline would be look at how much unsaturated versus saturated fat you're having in a day. Try to decrease the amount of saturated fat and replace that with unsaturated and more specifically polyunsaturated fats. And some practical swaps would look like this. Cook with olive oil or avocado oil and save the butter for the toppings of your food. Rotate in fattier fish like salmon, sardines, or tuna, and lean ground beef, and save the very fatty ground beef or steaks for once in a while. You also might look to replace some of your snacks. Maybe you have a handful or two of almonds versus a charcuterie board of processed cheese. And I know you're gonna ask me, well, Eric, can I have eggs? Yes, you can have eggs. That is totally fine. I wouldn't have 18 eggs per day, but having a couple of eggs per day is gonna be okay. And remember, calories still drive fat loss. You will never be able to get around eating in a calorie deficit to promote fat loss, but the quality of the dietary fat that you are eating can influence where those calories go and what they do. And now that we've talked about some diet levers you can pull, what exercise is best for removing that visceral belly fat once and for all? Visceral belly fat movement stack. Step number 1 in movement. We should be aiming for 8,000 to 12,000 steps per day. One of the most repeated success stories with people who lost the most visceral fat is just making sure they walked every day. It's boring, it's not sexy, but it works. And why does it work? Well, low intensity walking taps into fat for energy. It keeps your blood sugar stable and does not increase your cortisol or cravings. And all of this makes it easier for your body to get rid of the stored visceral belly fat. Step number 2, zone 2 cardio. If you can talk but not sing, you're in zone 2 cardio. Or more specifically, if you're around 60 to 70% of your max heart rate, then you're usually gonna be in zone 2 cardio. Doing this kind of cardio 2 to 4 times a week at 15 to 45 minutes per session builds the engine that burns fat all day long. And without getting too sciencey on you, zone 2 cardio trains your mitochondria. You probably haven't heard that since like 12th grade. But this is the powerhouse of your cells, the energy of your cells. This helps you become more efficient at using fat for fuel. And studies have shown effective at mobilizing and using the visceral fat that is stored around your organs. And the cool part is it does that even without your body weight changing that much. In step 3 in the movement is a 30-second interval protocol. And in just a second, I'll give you a full 7-day schedule that can tie all of this movement together to show you exactly what a week of cardio and strength training would look like without negatively impacting your muscle gains. But before we do that, let's talk about something most people overlook in the equation of losing visceral fat, and that's sleep and stress. If you're sleep deprived and stressed out of your mind, everything we just talked about works at half power. And that's not me exaggerating. Poor sleep and chronic stress can crank up cortisol, which is the stress hormone that loves to, you guessed it, store visceral belly fat. But the good news is, you don't need a perfect bedtime routine, and you don't need to wake up like a monk and do a 27-step morning routine to fix this. A few simple levers you can pull to make a big difference is number 1, try as hard as you can to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Parents with young kids, I understand that's more difficult, or people who work night shift, third shift, I also understand that's more difficult. This is why I say try to prioritize it. Get the hell off of your phone and go to bed. and try to go to bed around the same time and wake up around the same time, because this will help your circadian rhythm and it'll put less stress on your body. Number 2, cut off caffeine 8 to 10 hours before you go to bed. This will help improve the quality of your sleep, especially the early stages of sleep, which is your deep sleep, which is actually where your body recovers physically the most. Number 3, take 10-minute walks after your meals. This can help improve digestion, improve gut health, decrease stress, and decrease such high blood sugar spikes. And number 4, like I said, get off your phone 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime. Dimming the screen, getting off the screens will help you fall asleep faster and have better quality sleep. And I really would encourage you to think of stress in sleep like amplifiers of everything else. If you dial them in, your steps, your diet, your workouts are all going to be that much better, and you will lose your visceral fat that much faster and more efficiently. Now let's plug all of this into a 7-day schedule that you can follow without burning yourself out. So what you're gonna do every single day is walk those 8 to 12,000 steps, cut out or reduce your added sugar, have protein at each meal, increase your unsaturated fat, and of course, eat in your calorie deficit. 2 to 4 times per week, you're gonna perform the Zone 2 cardio. This can be 15 to 45 minutes, either after a strength training workout or on rest days. I would not recommend doing it before you lift weights, because that is negatively going to impact your weightlifting workout you're about to do. And then 3 to 4 times per week, you are going to lift weights for roughly 30 to 75 minutes, however long you can realistically commit to. And you should stay in like that 5 to 10, 5 to 12 rep range for 2 to 3 sets of your exercises. And by the way, if you're like, Eric, what workouts should I follow? Click the link in the description of this video. I will have my workout programs down there below. And then to top it off, every night, you're gonna do what we just talked about. Get that 7 to 9 hours of good quality sleep. So this could be Monday, you're doing lower body and 20 minutes of Zone 2 after. Tuesday, you're doing 30 minutes of Zone 2. Wednesday, you're doing upper body. Thursday, you're doing 30 minutes of Zone 2. And then Friday, you're doing a full body workout. Now, if you follow this, how quickly should you see results? And how much results should you see? Well, let's cover that right now. A quick reality check: visceral fat shrinks from the inside out. So your metrics would change before the mirror or even the scale. So here's what normal progress looks like and when to tweak. Weeks 1 to 2, you should expect some water and bloat to drop from decreasing the amount of added sugar you're consuming. Your waist measurement could easily drop 0.25 to 1 inch, depending on how much you have to lose. And your energy and cravings usually improve as well. Now, weeks 3 to 4, this is where the true inside out fat loss starts. You'll typically see another 1/2 inch to 1 inch drop on your waist measurement, and your waist to height ratio will also start to drop. By the end of week 4, you should see that waist to height ratio drop anywhere between 0.01 to 0.07 from a ratio standpoint. So if you used to be 0.77 on your waist to height ratio, in the first month, you may see that number drop down to 0.73. And by weeks 5, 6, 7, and beyond, with solid adherence to your plan, you will really start to notice that visceral belly fat and your subcutaneous belly fat, the one you can actually pinch, really start to decrease. You'll see it in your progress pictures. You'll see it in how your clothes fit, how your jeans fit, how your shirts fit on you. So again, don't get discouraged if you're not seeing it right away on the scale. There are other signs of progress that are happening for you that may not show up on the scale right away. If it does show up on the scale, awesome. But if not, there's other things that are happening, even if you don't see it within the first week or two. So here's a quick weekly dashboard you can run through. You're in the green if your waist measurement is going down at all, and that means your waist to height ratio is also going down, even if it's slower than what you would like. It's yellow if you've done everything right, but your waist hasn't gone down in 7 to 10 days. It may be time to make some adjustments if your adherence is actually there. If you're not consistent, then don't change anything. Just get consistent first. And you're in the red, meaning you need to change something. If your waist measurement is not going down or it's even going up, and at this point you need to take a step back and look at your plan. Are you being consistent? Have you cut out the extra added sugars? Are you doing the extra steps in zone 2 cardio? And if you are doing those things, I'll be honest with you, you're gonna see the progress. But if not, we gotta figure out why are we not doing these things and what can we do to set up your success better. And just remember, when you're taking those waist measurements, take them on an empty stomach after you use the restroom, before you eat or drink anything first thing in the morning. And if you want all of the guesswork taken out for you and a plan personally built for you to get rid of that visceral belly fat, click the link in the description below to check out our one-on-one personalized online coaching program. And after you do that, you can check out this video here on how to lose weight so fast it feels illegal.